we start?
Yeah, good morning, good evening, everyone. Radhe Radhe, a very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Hope you had a great weekend or having a great weekend. Let's get started. Today, we will continue on our journey on Bhagavad Gita and we will pick up the shloka 4.31. Like after a lot of breath discussion that we have, now we can gather our breath back and continue on our journey. So let me share my screen. We will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. So let me share it. Hope you're able to see it. So let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening. Once again to all of you. So we'll get started. So today we are going to do 4.31. I'm going to recite it and then you're welcome to follow along. Yagya Shishtamrita Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatanam Nayam Lokastya Yagyasya Kutonya Kuru Sattama. Where do we have anybody who wants to recite it?
I have reason. Okay, Samji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yajnashishtamrutam bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam loko astya yajnasya kuto anya kuru sattama. Radhe Radhe.
Rahulji. Yes, Rahulji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yagya Shishtamrit Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatanam Nayam Loko Astaya Yagyasya Kutonya Kurusatam.
Radhe Radhe, thank you, Rahul. Who's next?
Dineshji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yagna Seshtamruta Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatanam Nayam Lokosya Yagnasya Krutonya Kurusattama. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, thank you, Dinesh. Okay, we have a few more hands. Let's take them.
Yes, Pragiji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, thank you. Yagyashishta Amrit Bhujo Yanti Brahm Sanatanam Nayam Lokosta Yagyasa Kuto Anya Kuru Sattamam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Payalji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yagya Shishtamrita Bhujo Yanti Brahma Sanatanam Nayam Lokostya Yagyasya Kutonya Kuru Sattama. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, thank you, Palji. Okay, we have.
Yeah, Riyaji, Radhe Radhe. Riyaji.
Yajnashishtamrita Bhujo. Yes, Radhe Radhe. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Please.
Thank you. Yajnashishtamrita Bhujo Yanti.
I think we lost.
Yam Lokosta Stayagnasya Kutogna Kuru
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on. We have some issues, I think, with the audio here. So let's take the next one.
Falguni ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Yagnashishta amrita bhujo. Yagnashishta amrita bhujo. Yanti Brahma Sanatanam. I can't see it. Because Nyayam Lokastha Agnyasa Kuto Nyaya Kuro Satama. Sorry, it didn't go well.
No
Radhe
worries.
Radhe.
Fine, Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Falguni. All right. Last but not the least, yes, go ahead, Sandhya.
Yagyashishtamrita bhujo yanti brahm sanatanam nayam lokostyaya yagyasya kutonyah kuru sattama.
All right, very nice. Thank you. So let's get started. This shloka, because we've been talking about sacrifice, right? Even the breath, we will talk a little bit more about it next session as well. That is offered as a sacrifice because when we breathe in, we breathe out, and those are the breathing activities, and then we hold the breath. Whether you hold the breath when you take it out and then you hold it, or you inhale it and then you hold it, that is called kumbhak. When we do that, it stills the mind. The mind gets blank, and that sensation that is there, it's very important in the path of Ashtanga Yoga, because that sensation is where your mind is completely still, right? It's like your mind is about to blank, and that sensation is something that has a lot of significance in the path of Ashtanga Yoga. However, when it is offered as a sacrifice, including the sacrifice of neutralizing your samana, all the pranas we spoke about, samana is the one which is responsible for digestion. So when you fast that, it neutralizes it. That is another kind of austerity people take. And when it is offered to God, it helps you purify your senses. So in this one, Lord is continuing to say, then he's saying that those who know the secret of sacrifice and engaging in it partake of its remnants that are like nectar. So anything that is offered as a sacrifice and then you partake it as a remnant, that becomes nectar. And then who do that? They advance towards the absolute truth. O best of the Kurus, those who perform no sacrifice find no happiness in this world or the next. So this topic, we are going to differentiate between something that is offered as a sacrifice, people who do that, what do they get, and people who don't offer it as a sacrifice, who do it for their own sake. What is the difference between those two, right? One is called yoga, other is called bhog, and that is going to be the center of our discussion today. So let's get started with our topic today. So to begin with, let me see, what do we have? All right, so we have happy Durgashtami or Mahashtami to all of you. It is the 8th day of Navaratris. We're wishing you a very happy Durgashtami or Mahashtami. So this is the victory of good over evil, light over darkness, and we worship the divine feminine. Right? This whole Navaratri is worshipping the divine feminine. Divinity has two aspects to it. One is the masculine aspect, which is the energetic, and one is the feminine aspect of it, which is the energy. And this Navaratri festival that we celebrate, it is worshipping the feminine aspect of the divine, which is not non-different from the masculine or the Purush aspect as well, because one is energy, one is energetic. And in this case, we celebrate it for Mother Durga, who is the governor of this material universe, governess or governor. So on this day, she had killed Mahishasur. We spoke about this concept as well. Mahishasur was a demon who had become very powerful, and then all the devatas, they came together and gave their shaktis, and the feminine form, Durga, she manifested, and then she slayed that demon. And demon is basically, from a spiritual standpoint, a demon is the one which, like a doubt that crops up in our mind as well, symbolically. So we need to slay those demons as well. And for that, we need to worship. We worship for strength, the strength that is needed for us to overcome all the obstacles that will come in this path. Then we pray for wisdom. Wisdom is important, and the endeavor that we have undertaken, the Gyan Yagya, so to say, of Bhagavad Gita on a day-to-day basis is directed towards gaining wisdom, the right knowledge. So that is what we worship for from God as well, Goddess as well. And then there's another one, the inner cleansing. When we talk about inner cleansing, it is a resolve we take that we are going to get rid ourselves from all the vices that we suffer from. Vices. Then we are going to rectify our past mistakes. As humans, it is expected from us to evolve. If we are a jad or an insentient power of God, like a mountain is, then you could be excused for not evolving or growing up. But because we are humans, we have to evolve. We have to get better. We have to create a better version of ourselves with each passing day. That is the expectation God has from us as well. Right? It's a very important concept to understand. We have to evolve. When Edmund Hillary, if you know the guy who surmounted or climbed Mount Everest, when he failed in his first attempt, he looked at the Everest and said, I will conquer you. That's because I'm growing, you are not. Okay, so as humans, we have to rectify our mistakes, learn from our past experience, and have a new beginning with a pure heart. That is very important. That inner cleansing is something we take a resolve every Navaratris, and Navaratris happen 4 times a year with every season. So if you forget once, you can renew your vow in the next one. So the point here is to take on this resolve of ridding ourselves of vices, rectifying, learning from our mistakes, and making a new beginning with a pure heart. Okay, and when we are reading Bhagavad Gita, all of these things are happening because we are conversing with Krishna. We are putting faith in his words, and we are trying to build a personal relationship with God as well through the path of devotion. All of these things will fall in place. Now let's move on. Like we start with our Soul Soup segment. So our topic, the theme Soul Soup segment has been Success, Happiness and Fulfillment series. And we've been talking about staying positive. That has been our theme. We spoke about 2 concepts, 2 things, benefits. The first one was if you stay positive, and being positive, it helps in, if you remember that, making us happier. That is one of the consequences of being positive. That is how it works. Then the second one is, we spoke about it in our previous one, it improves our performance at work. We spoke at it at great length. Today we will cover the third aspect of it, which is enhances our physical health. Now you might wonder, okay, it sounds a little hocus pocus, but it's not like that. Okay, it actually has a direct impact on our physical health. How? Let's understand that. So this amalgamation of body and mind, it works miraculously. I'll tell you a few things, scientifically proven as well. Okay, how it works basically. So mind is so nimble that in a moment it travels down to nether regions, and the next moment it is up in the celestial skies. It is so fickle, very fast. Like I think John Milton had said that mind has a world of its own. It can make a heaven out of hell and hell out of heaven. That is how powerful our mind is. You could be sitting in a perfect place, and then your mind can create some kind of a turmoil around you. And then on the contrary, you might be in the worst of situations, and yet you could be completely at peace. Who controls that? Our mind. That is the power of our mind. So because it generates thoughts. Now let's understand how this whole process works basically. Now, so if you look at it, there, even in medical science, they call it something like a placebo effect. Right? Placebo effect, have you heard about it? I'm sure you would have. The opposite of that is nocebo. Now, placebo is when a pill is given to somebody and they show some positive signs after receiving that pill on the ailment for which that pill was supposed to treat them for. It has a negative connotation to it, because when you say, hey, you were given a placebo and because of which you are getting right, because People will say, you mean my sickness was only in my mind? The fact is, yes, that is true. It works actually. But then the euphemistic term for that is called remembered wellness, which is called remembered wellness. So there's a guy, the experiments have been carried out, like there's a guy who had tonsillitis, right? And I'll give you some examples as well. He goes to the doctor, and the moment doctor opens the mouth and there's already healing that has started taking place. 30% of the tonsillitis is gone, right? Because they think, now I'm with the doctor, I'm in safe hands, I'll be fine. On the contrary, you might be well, you go to a doctor, and now when you see yourself surrounded by so many doctors, nurses, your BP, which was normal, might have shot up, which is called remembered illness. So that is the relationship our mind, our thoughts have with our physiology as well. So, and then from a scientific standpoint, they say that basically there's a book, I think in Harvard Medical School, there was a Professor Dr. Herbert Benson. He had written this book, The Relaxation Response. And he has spoken about some of the Aboriginal tribes in Australia. So there's a witch doctor, there's a custom witch doctor, and he bones people. And the common belief is that when the witch doctor, when they bones them, there is a spell that is cast on them, and because of which they can choke, they will choke. And then they have seen perfect people who have been, when the witch doctor, they're perfectly okay. And when the witch doctor comes, they start thinking, I'm a goner, now I'm done for, and I have absolutely no hope. And in a few minutes, the person starts suffocating, and in a few minutes, they start holding on to their threat as well, and then they fall to the ground. That is how powerful our thoughts are. When you have believed that, right, then they can have a direct impact on your body as well. So this is basically a very key thing to understand. And from a scientific standpoint, the converse is also true. When our emotional state is positive and optimistic, our physical health gets boosted. And research has revealed that people who are compassionate and kind towards others, there is a hormone that is secreted when you do that act, which is called serotonin in the brain. And it makes us feel good, which in turn strengthens our immune system. And people who, see our acts of kindness also experience an increased production of serotonin. And kindness also has the same effect as an antidepressant drug. Serotonin dose is given to people who are suffering from depression. So when you do these acts, when you are positive, when you are kind, it will actually directly translate into the production of serotonin, which is very helpful for us. And it has a direct correlation with our physical health as well. Yoga Vashisht, when being inquired by Lord Ram that what is a vyadhi or a disease, he said it is something which stems from mind. So the very seed of disease is sown in our mind. That is how it starts. All right. So I hope you understand what are the benefits of staying positive. And we need to test negative for staying negative. Okay. So now let's move on. We will bring in another nugget tomorrow. So let's get to the discussion of our topic today. The Bhog and Yog. Which direction are you on? Which road you have chosen to take? And what is the difference between these two is what we are going to focus our discussion on today. So our life, if we look at it, our mind and senses, they are propelled by their natural tendencies. So if you look at this boat in the sea, the sail will follow the wind. It has to be controlled. Otherwise, it will keep following the wind, direction of the wind. So similarly, our mind and senses, they are propelled by their natural tendencies, and which are in turn are dictated by the gunas and our sanskars. Where are those coming from? Are they fed to us by God? Yes and no. Yes, they are given to us by God, but then who's the author of those? We only are the authors of those. So the choices that you are making today, or the thoughts that you are bringing to your mind today, become part of your predominant guna, become part of your sanskars, become part of your tendencies. That different people have different tendencies. Now God has not given it to us. He's simply we are the authors of it, and he picks up that part of it, right? Mind is anyway going to continue with us, right? He simply gives us life, birth as humans, as an opportunity, but our tendencies is our own doing. So whatever work we do on our tendencies and our gunas, it is a perpetual asset or a perpetual liability. You could be building assets if you are tapping into the spiritual principles, or you could be building liabilities for yourself if you're not tapping into those, and building a mindset which is going to trouble you the most and land you into trouble, and you only have to climb or cleanse it over time. So this is how it goes. And our tendencies and habits are born out of it. And our habits and tendencies are like these two wheels of a bicycle which drives us. We are what our habits are. Anything that is right, it all starts with a thought. Thought translates into, thought is generated. Where is the thought? Let's understand this whole cycle, how it unfolds. The quality of the thought that is generated in our mind is dictated by the quality of our mind. Quality of our mind is dictated by the predominant guna at any point in time, or the gunas that we have. Now the thought, it is a seed for the plant. What is the plant? That will become an action. It all starts with a thought, and then the thought will translate into action. Repeated action, the repeated action would become our habit or our tendency. And repeated tendencies and habit would define our character. And character basically is who we end up becoming end of the day, right? So this is how it all starts with a thought. And how can you improve your thoughts? You can improve your thoughts only when you improve the quality of your mind. And how do you improve the quality of your mind? By doing bhog or by yoga is what we're going to talk about. So I hope you understand the whole cycle that we're talking about, right? They're all related to each other. So let's move on. Indulgence. Now you may say, I am entitled to indulgence, right? As a human, are you telling me to become a boring person and lead an insipid life? I am entitled to indulgence because if I don't enjoy, what will be the motivation for me to move forward, right, in life? It's a very valid question. Let's try to put it in perspective. What does indulgence do? Indulgence, what does indulgence mean? Let's first of all understand that. It's like your senses are saying, I need some stimulus. I need some gratification. I need some kind of a kick. Okay. So some kind of a hankering you would develop. I need this. I like this. It's like a child asking for something, I just need it. That is how our mind and senses work. So it all starts with a hankering for something. Now, what happens with the hankering? And then the other aspect of it is lamentation. Okay, I will get into that as well. Now, over time, what happens is that hankering and lamenting, they increase, because when you crave for something, either you will get, there is no universal rule that, you crave for something and you get it. God doesn't do that, right? God basically gives us things which are not pleasurable to us, but which are beneficial for us. There's a difference between going for pleasure and going for something which is beneficial. Our mind always goes for pleasurable thing, but you start hankering and then you don't get it. Then what happens? You lament. Now the intervening pleasure, it decreases. Now eventually the pleasure becomes just a short-lived relief. Even if you get that, it is a short-lived relief that you get from the self-inflicted torment of constant hankering and lamenting. So this is how the cycle continues. Now, because indulgence is usually physical and visible, you're seeing it, right? So you are either having an ice cream or something like that. But the hankering and aversion that come out of indulgence. Now, indulgence is something you indulged in something. You wanted somebody, you wanted to meet somebody, you wanted to eat something, you wanted to see something. That is fine. That is a part of indulgence, right? You can indulge in that. But that hankering and lamentation cycle that accompanies along with it, they are psychological and invisible. It is leaving some imprints on your mind. And then it takes a lot of intelligence and taking a backseat to understand how it is affecting us, how it is harmful. Not everybody can see through that. They will continue to indulge. Indulgence could be in both ways, right? One of the indulgences where you are enjoying. One of the indulgences, Even though you are not enjoying, but you get kick inventing out stuff. Both kind of indulgence are actually psychological and invisible. We don't know the harmful effects of both of them, right? Now, in Bhagavad Gita also it is said that the mode of passion, when it is derived from the contact of senses with their objects, that is what the sensation we crave for. So when the objects come in contact with the senses come in contact with the objects of senses, there's some kind of a feeling that we derive out of it. Let's say we want to taste an ice cream, it will get some kind of a feeling. Or let's say we wanted to see that movie, we'll get some kind of a feeling. Or let's say we wanted to play poker, we'll get some kind of a feeling. So it's that happiness is like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is essentially what Bhagavad Gita is telling us, that feeling from, right? So that happiness is actually more of a pleasure thing that we are going for. In fact, Kathopanishad tells us there are two kinds of happiness. Shreyascha, Preyascha. There is one Shreya. Shreya is something which is bitter in beginning, but sweet in long run. And Preya is something which is sweet, immediate gratification, but poison in long run. So typically your mind and senses will tug you towards the preyas. That is the nature of it. It wants immediate gratification. It wants immediate stimulus. And because of that, we keep on falling into the cycle of hankering and lamentation. I need this, I need this, I need to avoid this, I need to avoid this. Losing out the big picture that every desire that we are making towards a sense object is leaving an imprint on our mind. And that imprint is going to deepen that perception that there is happiness in this world, and the fact that I need more of it, or I need to avoid more of it. So you are deepening your gunas as well around that. Either you will get into rajas or you will get into tamas. When you go for a desirous thing, either you need more of it, that means you're adding more of rajas for that. Rajas is something, I need more of it. Or you will have lamentation where you're venting out and becoming negative. In that case, you are going to tamas. So there are the two outcomes of it. Yes, if you are indulging in something, philanthropy, helping people and all, that is also kind of pleasure that we derive, which is called sattvic pleasure, which is good, but it is also binding. And it is more difficult to let go of that pleasure because it is a higher quality of pleasure that you are deriving. So people who are in sattva, right, it's very difficult for them to take them towards God, because they're already feeling that, we are doing all that is needed. And what's the need of bringing another variable into our life called God, which is an abstract concept anyway for most of the people. Yes, Sam, you had a question?
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Samji.
Radhe Radhe. I did not understand the relation between indulgence and lamenting. How indulgence results in lamentation.
Well, indulgence results in lamentation because your indulgence, there is no guarantee. This universe is not meant to serve all your desires, right? So when you wish to indulge in something, there will be times when you will be able to indulge, there will be times when you will not be able to indulge, right? So when you are not able to, then what will happen? Lamentation. I don't have it. Why am I being wronged? Why should I only miss out on all the fun? Why do people only have fun? Right? All these questions will come into your mind. That is called lamentation, because you could not indulge, and your mind had already made that desire of indulging, which you thought I was needed for to define my happiness. If you don't get it, then you start complaining, right? You start finding people around whom to blame, and then you may find more than one because your mind likes that. So this is called lamentation. Okay. Hope it makes sense. Now, let's move to the key points around this. What happened with indulgence? Let's look at it. Indulgence in itself may seem innocuous, but there are a lot of things that have happened because of it. Let's understand that. One, it made you feel that you got deeper into the material world. Where is God and indulgence? Nowhere. You're doing it for your own self. Okay, you're doing it for yourself, right? For the sake of your mind and your senses. Where is God there? Nowhere. So Gita Shloka 3.39 says, the knowledge of even the most discerning gets covered by this perpetual enemy in the form of insatiable desire, which is never satisfied and burns like fire, O son of Kunti. Secondly, it's not that you have satiated your desire. It is like putting ghee or clarified butter or kerosene on fire. The fire will be redoubled. Nobody has become happy by satiating their desire. In Buddhism, in fact, it talks about extinguishing the desires to become happy. In Bhakti, we say no, let desire be there, improve the quality of your desire. Okay, there are different ways to look at it. But the point is, nobody in this world has become happy by satiating their material desires. It's a very profound statement. If we simply put it in our refrigerator or wherever you want to put it, any material desire that you have thought is going to give me happiness will not make you happy, right? That itself should put so many things in perspective, but we are not able to understand the gravity of it, so it needs a constant reminder and repetition in our head. Okay, nobody can become happy by trying to fulfill their material. Your mind will trick you, say, you know what, no, I don't have it, somebody else has it, but if I get it, I'll be happy. At least I will be happy. But that is just trick your mind is creating. And that is the reason why we are getting further and further entrenched into this world. So we get deeper into the material world. Second is it takes us further away from spiritual life, peace, and happiness. Now, the irony is that why do we seek material things? Because our inherent or the underlying goal, there is something called lakshata vachata. Lakshata means you do something. Vachta means why do you do it at? So people don't love money. People love money for the things that it can buy. That in turn would give them happiness. Right? So similarly, we try to form desires. We try to indulge, whatever kind of indulgence it is there. It is for the sake of gaining peace, happiness, joy, bliss. That is why we go for that. But the fact is, irony is, it takes us further away from spiritual life, peace, and happiness. That is what the eventual thing happens. It takes us further away from it. More restlessness will come in, more anxiety will build in, more worries we'll have, more further we get entrenched into the world, and it takes us away from peace, happiness, and all those things. Then what happens? Of course, we will suffer karmic reactions. Everything comes at a price. There are no free lunches in this world. We may think it is free. Free will is free. Free will is the most expensive thing in this world that God has given us free. Think of it. He says free will. It's because of our free will only we are freely roaming around in this 8.4 million. It is the most expensive thing. Why most expensive thing? Because the price that we are paying for exerting our free will and using it to satisfy and gratify our senses is the highest price one can pay. Why? Because it is taking, not evolving our soul, but devolving our soul, keeping us rotating in this material world or material existence. Okay, so karmic reactions would be there as well if we indulge. And then lower forms of life and or hellish planets. That is a very, people say they don't want to agree. It's very nice and convenient, right? If somebody gives us a rosy story, once human, always human, once you become human, never going back to the lower form of life. It just seems good. And we want to believe in it. Your mind would love to believe in it, but our scriptures tell us, sorry, that's not the case. If you make eating as the goal of your life, then there is no guarantee you'll not become a pig next life, because that's all it does. If you make sleeping, there is no guarantee you may not become a polar bear, right? So similar, there are other possibilities as well. And then if you have committed grave crimes and sins, you may even forfeit the opportunity to, become a human. That is one part, but then you'll have to bear the consequence of it as well, in a manner that, you learn that lesson. What you made somebody else go through, you have to go through that. Right? So there are very severe punishments around that as well. And that is also, that can happen just because you want to indulge in something. And then desire, which is an eternal enemy and self-destructive, it infects our psyche with indelible impressions that haunt us far beyond our present life science. That is a very important thing. If you have made a very strong then first you'll struggle now, but you have not future-proofed your struggle. You have ensured that you continue to struggle. You think, I'm going to vent it, I'm going to live with this. Sure, one day you have to, whether you do it in this lifetime, in later stage of your life, in some other lifetime, you only have to get out of it. Something which is inherently wrong is wrong. There's no justification to that. So you have to get over that, because those impressions are so deep, and it's like an impression you form, right? Those stickers they put in when you go somewhere, the deeper that is, the harder it is to take off. So that is why they say don't go for permanent tattoos. So in this case, are you forming those permanent tattoos in your mind, your tendencies? If you are, then we know how difficult it is to take it off. And we cannot have those kind of tattoos. If there is a permanent tattoo you want to put in your brain, it has to be that of God. Otherwise, if you fall for any tendency, any sanskar, which is like an indelible impression you have put in for yourself, you have done yourself a huge disfavor. Right? You are your biggest enemy at that point. Okay. So that is another thing that happens when we go for indulgence. And then Bhagavad Gita, anyway, I've spoken about this shloka. So now let's understand this. Now these are our senses, like, dislikes, right? So if you look at it, we have a higher nature. So we have two dogs or two wolves, whatever you want to call it, or two aspects of our personality. We have a higher nature and then we have a lower nature. There's a constant tussle that is going on between these two. Okay. Every opportunity in our life presents us to fall for our lower nature or utilize our, which is mundane, pleasurable pursuits, anger, envy, greed, pessimism, skepticism, hatred, pleasures. This is all born from our lower nature. Okay, if we're going for that, we are downgrading our journey. We are downgrading our soul. We are digging a pit for ourselves. And if you are tapping into your higher nature, which is higher beneficial pursuits, positivity, hope, empathy, compassion, faith, love, sacrifice. Sacrifice is again coming, right? That buzzword that we've been talking about, which is what is operating out of a higher level of your nature. Now, when we tap into our higher nature, or are we succumbing to our lower nature, is a question we have to ask, given the repeated situations and circumstances that come our way. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
There's a question in the chat, Nitin, from Shweta ji. Please give an example of deep-rooted desires that haunts our next lifespan. Thank you.
Deep-rooted desires, see, it's contextual again, but deep-rooted desires, we don't know. We all have our secret stash. Secret stash means something that we hold very dear to ourselves. Everybody has it. So it's like, think of it like you have a farmhouse where there are a lot of animals which are huddled together, okay, different varieties. And just imagine they have learned to coexist themselves. They're not fighting with themselves. They're huddled together and they're looking for space to get out of it somehow, right? They are caged. And all of a sudden the cage is open and there is a doorway, right, through which they can get out into the big forest which is waiting for them. So the first animal that will come is the most strongest one, right? Like Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest, not survival, but the exit of that fittest. So whoever is the strongest bull out of them, or whichever that is, will come out the first. So typically, that is how our mind has a lot of desires in it, but there will be something very dominant. And that dominant desire could be anything. It could be related to, holding money. It could be some bitterness, resentment towards somebody. It could be something related to eating. It could be some envious thing that, against somebody that you always wanted to do and you harbored that throughout your life. We don't know. We all have our secret stash around it. And that secret stash comes out like that bull. And that will dictate your not only your next lifetime, but also the imprint that it has formed in your mind will continue in your next life as well. You will continue to struggle with the same thing in the next life. Some people they carry certain propensities. You don't know why. What is the reason for that? It is because they have embedded deeply into their mind. And those tendencies are difficult to overcome unless we have subscribed to proper knowledge and worked consciously on it, and sought God's help on it as well, because it's our own doing. Those grooves that are created in our mind is something that we repeatedly think, and we all have our secret stash around it. You only can introspect and figure out what is that. We all have it. It could be your attachment to somebody, maybe a family member. It could be attachment to your money. It could be attachment to property. It could be attachment to hitting somebody. It could be attachment to love. Everybody has it. Those are the deep sanskars that we are building. So everything comes at a price. You may think the thought comes and goes. No, the responsibility of better quality thoughts lies on you only and nobody else. And that is why the responsibility of cleansing our mind lies solely on us. And if you're not doing it, the quality of our thoughts will not improve, the quality of our thoughts will not improve, the quality of our actions will not improve, our habits will not improve, our character will continue to succumb to our lower nature. So that's the whole idea. So let's move on. Hope I answered your question. Now, in the discharge of our worldly duty, we will have to encounter all kind of. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question?
Question from Lakshmi ji. Does indulgence result in bad always, that is away from spiritual life?
Yes, material indulgence is always detrimental. Spiritual indulgence is good. Now, if you want to indulge in kirtans, you want to indulge in satsang, you want to indulge in Bhagavad Gita, it's a good indulgence. You have to dovetail it. Any material indulgence, there is no material indulgence you can call is beneficial for us. If there is one, I would love to hear from anybody. You give me an example of a material indulgence and I'll tell you the side effect of it. You tell me any material indulgence that you think is good for us, that we enjoy and we think is going to be beneficial for us. Anybody? Let's have an open conversation on it. Tell me that you have a reason to believe is good for me. Whether it's your attachment to your... yes, Prabhat, you're going to tell me that? Okay, let me know. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Actually, it's not key that is good for us or not. I'm a little confused about it. I just want your opinion on it. Like, if we are at home and someone from our home only want to eat some sweet like rasgulla, gulab jamun, or maybe something which is pleasant for that particular person, right? And in that case, we are also supposed to buy it and eat it, right? But we are not in that mood of eating it, or it's like it will not give pleasure to us, but someone else want to have it, and by that way we are also getting it throughout these things. So anyhow, it is some spontaneous thing is there, like whether it is good for us or not, because we are spending money on it, we are buying those things, and I although it is, we don't like it from inside, but we are bhog, that bhog wala thing is there. So that is something I want to know.
So basically you're saying you're not attached to rasgulla, but because somebody else is having, you feel obligated to eat it too, right? Right. It's like that joke, right? That guy says, you know what, there is one banana peel lying on the floor, so I'll have to slip once. And then he said, there is two, and I have to slip twice. And there is three, I'll have to slip thrice. See, end of the day, we have to define outside. If somebody tells us, doctor tells us, if you have it, it's not, good for you, or you'll have this problem, you will put a foot down on it. So somewhere you also have that thing that it's okay, even though I'm not attached. So you have to define it for you. So that's not totally a bhog, but that doesn't mean you will keep on, tailoring your taste to the tastes of the people around you, your journey, your own journey, right? And if your health or doctor tells that, then you will immediately stop it. But when spirituality is telling us, that is also a spiritual doctor tell us that stay away from things which are not good for your health, and we can't oblige people and keep on eating samosa after samosa and rasgulla after rasgulla, right? We can make excuses around it. But yeah, it becomes a bhog in a way as well, even though you don't like it, but you don't mind it either. I would mind it. Okay, so if somebody puts me to kusang, I will mind it. So it's
Someone
like
who is associated with us. So this is also one of the things that we have to, and else the person will feel annoyed. So this is something.
Yeah, basically eating rasgulla because somebody will not.
Just talking about, there are multiple senses. Like, I'm just taking an example of tongue, but there are other senses also. Like, this is one of the example.
True, like seeing movie, right, and stuff like that. That is where it all boils down to your time budgeting management and then defining boundaries around it. Because if I were to make everybody, see, the only person who can make everybody happy is the ice cream wala. So we can't be an ice cream wala for the rest of our life, right? So we have to define boundaries somewhere for the things. Only the guy who sells those candies, right, can make everybody happy, at least for a while. So we have to have boundaries around that, because if we lead our life, somebody else is making us lead our life for the rest of our life, then Yamaraj is not going to give us a gold medal. Well done, right? They will say that was not their purpose. So we have to draw some healthy boundaries around it, what we want to do, what we don't want to do, because if our life is dictated by people around us, Yes, balance is important because you have to take care of them as well. But then beyond a point, you have to have some healthy boundaries, I guess. Otherwise, it's neither good for our mental well-being, physical well-being, nor Yamaraj is going to give us some special brownie points right after that. So, end of the day, we are all alone. They are not going to come with us, right? They will not tell that, hey, you had extra rasgulla with me and watched that movie. Now let me do something for you. Nobody can. Yes, Himani, you had a question.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Himani.
Radhe Radhe. So my question is, what is the fine line between indulgence and necessity? So, for example, if you have like desire to have like proper shelter and eat good quality food to sustain this body, would that be indulgence?
Yeah, I think that is a question where we have to introspect and say, is it a need, preference, or a greed? Right? There are subtle lines between those. If I go by the strict definition of it, Swami Vivekananda had said that anything more than what one truly needs, with regards to whether it's food, opulence, clothing, whatever it may be, anything more than what one truly needs is poison. Now, if I go by that strict definition, now for me, the bare minimum could be some branded clothes. For somebody, bare minimum could be being able to protect their body from the weather that they are in, right? So it's very contextual in that sense, but we need to, if you go back Patanjali Yoga Sutra as well, Parigraha, they say that we have to refrain from that mindset and keep challenging ourselves in around some of the things. Do I really need it, or is it what I'm catering to my senses just because they demand more, bigger, better always? And it's a journey, I think, for each one of us, but it is contextual until that point, because something which is normal could be indulgence for somebody else, right? And somebody which is indulgence could be normal for somebody else. It's very, very contextual. But are we hoarding? Are we getting into things more than what we truly need? Is something we can continually challenge ourselves on as we go along, but it's a bit of a journey there as well.
Got it.
Yeah, not a straightforward answer to that, but at least we get a sense of it. Most of us give it under the pretext of this is bare minimum for us, right? But really speaking, right, there was one guy who said that I was complaining about my shoes until I saw somebody with no feet. So everything is contextual in that sense.
I see. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Mani, for asking. Yes, Sandhya. Mani.
There is a question in the chat by Manish ji. But what about with contentment? Like what about being content with what you have been given? Because we came with nothing. It's all given by God. Where does that fall? Bhog or Yog?
What is we came with nothing and what?
No, so whatever we have received, it has been given to us by God. So let us be content with it. Because what we did not come with anything.
There is a saying there are 3 stages in human life: learn, earn, and return. So great Alexander, when he died, he said that keep my hands out of my coffin, so that even the world can see that even the great Alexander who had conquered the world, when he went, he did not take anything along with him. So the fact of the matter is that realization, having that realization, I came in empty-handed. Whatever I got, it's through God's grace and with the support I got from people. And there's nothing basically I'm going to take away. So I need to look at an opportunity to serve, return, and give back to where I've gotten it from. That itself is a big realization. It's a huge sacrifice that you're thinking about, right? So when we are living, people say, no, I'm going to write it in my will and give it, doesn't work that way. Maybe there's some credit for that. But when you're living and you can do that, you can exercise that choice, that is extremely pleasing to God. You're actually fulfilling the purpose of this creation. More often than not, what happens with humans is they keep on transferring their wealth acquisition from generation to generation. Okay? They are always insecure how much I need. And then they will die with maybe 10 times more than what they actually needed, most of them. And then they'll get passed to the next generation and then the next and then next, right? Gold, I don't know, people keep on stashing it as if they're going to take it to their next life and they'll give it to their bahu and they will say, do give it to that. And that just continues forever. What's the point? What's the point? There's no point. But that allurement, right? That secret stash of holding to things, not being able to let go of it, aparigraha, where they say don't hold things more than what is needed, that thing doesn't come to us so naturally, right? So that is a huge deal to do actually. And in Guru Nanak Dev had said, right, there was a guy who used to put a flag in front of his house for the number of lakh rupees that he had put in his, accumulated. So he put 6 or 7 flags, to basically brag about his situation in his village, that I'm the most richest person here. So Guru Nanak Dev thought, let me give him a bit of a perspective. He said he'd sent somebody and said, take this needle, give it to this guy and say, return it to me next life. Okay, and this guy had a revelation. I can't even take a needle. What am I doing with all these things, right? But yes, Manishi, very true. Actually, humans, they should always subscribe to this thing. First of all, we learn things. We come here empty-handed, then we learn things, get the skills, whatever is needed. Then we earn, and then we should always look out for an opportunity to return as well. If you don't do that, it's not a life well led, for sure. Yes,
So
Monica.
in just one thing follow-up. In this context, learn, earn, and return doesn't need to be sequential. It can be parallel.
It could be simultaneous as well. All
Okay,
three can go hand in hand.
right. And there's another comment which I will read after Monica ji. So Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji. So Nitin ji, like you said, that one should continue challenging themselves. So I was just thinking that to what extent one should challenge themselves, right? Now, for example, when it comes to like bigger house or branded clothes or whatever, let's say a devotee has, passed all that stages, but something like the love for chai, should we contemplate on that also? Because that definitely is a bhog, because there are a lot of people who continue drinking chai for the whole day, right? And somebody like me,
Yeah, let me give you a perspective on a chai because of one of your isms, it may get activated. So first of all, chai was given by Britishers to Bharatvarshis free of cost. Okay, free of cost. Give it to them. So once they get addicted, they will pay for it. Okay, and that is how the pratha of chai came. And by the way, spiritually speaking, chai, remember, okay, it's a good acronym for C stands for chalta and then hai. Chalta hai. Okay, so if chai might be that chalta hai, so we have to give up chai anyways. But I struggle with it as well. I don't mind taking it, but as long as it's not something which I can't live without. But yes, some of those things, if you look at it strictly speaking, if you go by the definition, anything that stimulates our mind, caffeine included, is not good. But yeah, if your throat is not well, which is more often the case with me, I don't know why I feel every second day, and you can have it a little bit.
I feel it every 6 hours. So, but then it's more of a bhog only. I understand that. So should
Bhog is
one
something you can't live without, right? That becomes your bhog because your senses are demanding it. If anything that your senses demand, that starts becoming your bhog at that point, right?
Okay.
It's
No,
like
I can live without it, but
first,
yeah.
the senses demand it. You can't live without it. Think about it.
Looks like chai is very popular. Like it raised so many hands, and even in comments, I'm seeing not
Chai
chai.
topic will
So a lot
definitely.
of satsang also happen over tea, right?
I know. But yeah, we can have more discussion with sensory indulgences and what we can. So tomorrow's session is going to be how do we transition from bhog to yoga is what we are going to talk about. So that should help alleviate some of these questions. But let's take some new hands. I see Diva, I see Arnima is raising her hand as well. I mean, for a change. So yes, Diva, let's start with Diva.
Okay. Radhe Radhe Diva. Please.
Radhe Radhe. Nitinji, I just had a question, not related to chai in specific, but just like general. Is it wrong to have wishes and dreams and demands in life? Can you not still be a devotee and still want to do certain things in life?
Wishes means you want something absolutely happen to you in life, basically.
Sorry?
Do you have some kind of a bucket list you want from God in life?
Not just bucket list, but in general, maybe having a bigger house, or maybe starting my own business, or maybe things like that. Of course, they're materialistic, But
That is where we will talk, Diva. It's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. We are going to talk about how do we convert Bhog to Yog. What do we change? Now, it's okay to have wish as long as the so that behind it is purified. Now, I wish to have a big house so that, I can have a space or a temple built and for God there as well. Or I could do satsangs. I would need ample space for that. If that is your intent, sure. I can earn more so that I can give more, sure. I want to do something of my own because so that I can give back in a more meaningful or an impactful way, sure. But if you're doing it so that I can take my next vacation to Hawaii, enjoy that, do some big cocktail parties and arrive in the world, then it becomes bhog. So the consciousness or the intent behind doing that activity, you can purify it. That itself will take care of it. Go for all the desires, but so that aspect of it has to, the big picture, you need to keep it clear in your head. That's all it is needed. So tweak in the motive behind it will purify everything. That is karma yoga basically.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah. If you're doing it so that I can enjoy, life to the fullest, and life is like an ice cream, enjoy it before it melts. If you have those, then it's pure bhog. But now if you're doing it, I want to do the best of my abilities and whatever talents God has given me, and then I want to have it. It's perfectly okay to have it. I can excel at my business. I can excel at my profession, but the underlying thing is so that I can serve better. I can indulge in, take my spiritual journey to the next level. I can serve God with my abilities better. All those things, if you have those motives, then it will be very uplifting. Otherwise, it will be catering to your lower nature only.
There are so many comments, Nitinji. Like people are coming up with their situation, and please help us classify whether it is Bhog or Yog, whether it is Bhog
Please
or
put
Yog.
it in the feedback tracker. Let's post that. Tomorrow we will have a very interesting. It's a Bhog Yoga discussion is very important because your mind will keep on telling it's yoga, it's okay. It's okay. Let's push the envelope a little bit. Or so let's have a good discussion, honest discussion around it, and then take or introspect around where all we can align more towards yoga as opposed to having a free hit. Our mind is, I'll tell you, mind, the way it works is you give it an inch, it will take a yard, and then it will have a free ride. So how much inch you want to give, when you want to give, how do you want to condition? Those are the questions we need to tackle seriously for sure. Okay, let's move to the next question. Go ahead, Arnima.
Yes, Animadi, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I just got a thought, so I just wanted to share that in this journey of life, there are so many things like chai, rasgulla, so many things. And then there is a second thing where we increase the attachment.
Laddu also.
Laddu, attachment, yes, laddu, besan ke. But then there is a second thing which is attachment to God. So where do we put our efforts on? Because we all are in this world. We all are working here. So many things happens in a day. So every day, I mean, it's a good practice, but how hard you should be on yourself on this journey.
I think that's where I'm saying in bhakti, you don't need to minus anything. You just need to add something. And that addition is that of God. So that consciousness, when we start building, that frequency and intensity will keep on increasing. So right now we are not even thinking about God, right? The practice is that God is both my protector and my witness. Whether we do it every 1 hour, whether we do it every 2 hours, whether we do it every 3 hours, at least that feeling has to be there. We need to create a trigger or a stimulus for ourselves to do that, and then increase frequency around it. And then in the meantime, we can continue to enjoy our laddu, rasgulla and everything and see how it goes. We need to add God and see what other gets minused. It will automatically happen. Nobody's asking you to minus anything right now. You simply add God. The things that need to be minused in your life will automatically start getting minused. But there has to be a beginning somewhere, right? And that intensity, frequency has to be increased over time, and it will automatically happen. It may start as a practice, gradual practice, but God's, when practice of this concept itself is so blissful that you would like to increase it all by yourself. I asked somebody to do 10-day challenge. Hope that is going on right now, Abhaji. Fill your blanks with God's name and see where it takes you after a while, in a few days' time only. Okay, let's move on to, I hope I answered your question. Otherwise, I can answer it at home. Okay, not a big deal.
I got it.
Okay, good. Yes, Aparna ji.
There is one question that's repeated couple of times. Can I just read that? Like, Couple
Sure.
of people have asked.
We'll take 5 more
Thinking,
minutes for questions. Yes, I think it's an interesting topic. So yeah, let's read through that.
thinking about future of kids, is it indulgence?
So let's understand. Kids are God. God has partnered with you to bring forth. God has chosen you as a partner to bring forth a new life. It's a responsibility He has endowed on you. Before you're a kid, we all are kids of God. The problem happens when we start thinking they are mine. Okay, I am the karta dharta for everything, and one of my purpose of my life is to settle them down and everything. It is fine. It is a noble desire, but that should not be the focal point of our life. The focal point of the best thing that we can give to a kid is a good foundation, so that from a spiritual standpoint, they are firmly grounded. Because when the challenges of life are going to come, their material skills, science, math, and are not going to help them. So if we can give them that spark early on in life, or partner with them and make them good individuals, human beings, that is the best gift we can give to them. And beyond a point, you cannot really do anything about it. There are people who die, thinking, oh, my boy did not get settled, he did not get married, he did not do that. That's not the purpose of life. Beyond a point, we have to let go of them. We do up to a certain stage as best as we can. But beyond a point, if we make that as our sole agenda in life, then it's again a trap we are getting into. And humans are the only species which continue to think about their kids and kids' kids and kids' kids, and wherever it is possible. Every other species lets go of them after a while. And this is how the nature is meant to be. But for us, I think we should give them a good foundation, spiritual foundation, and then that can only happen when we are investing on ourselves, not by talking, because those eyes are always seeing you. So we work on ourselves, and we are partners with God in bringing forth a new, human being or a new soul into this earth. And if you can help them realize God, that is the best gift you can give them. But for that to happen, you have to work on yourself, end of the day. So let's look at it that way. It's like a responsibility God has given, not that you take it so seriously that you forget your bigger purpose in life and start stressing over it altogether. Hope I answered a part of the question.
And there are many more interesting comments and questions, out of which at least some I would like to read after taking up Aparnaji's.
Sure.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Aparnaji.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Please don't laugh at this, but what about if I am like addicted to just cleaning the house like crazy, to the extent that I keep getting mad at anyone who makes it even a little bit dirty. I'm not sure if it is a sensory indulgence. I tried practicing this, dovetailing it and saying that, oh, I want to keep the house clean because Krishna may come and visit. I don't think I'm obsessed with the house as such, because I did it in the old house also. I always do it. So I don't think I'm attached to the house. But what does it come under? Is it
there are something called OCDs, obsessive compulsive disorders. You can fall into that, and it only increases with age. So you need to be careful about it. It's good to have cleanliness is next to godliness, it says, right? It's good to do that, but you only can take a call whether it's bordering on the other edge or not. But yes, if you are able to dovetail it, that like Shabri, any day God will come, so you're cleaning it. Is it stopping at that, or is it going even further, right? I'll tell you one of the interesting incidents of my own Masi. Okay, hopefully nobody is going to inquire who that is. So she's so obsessed with cleaning and having everything perfect. When you go to their house, if you're sitting, she'll keep looking at you. And the moment you stand up, she will, go to the sofa and do like this, that everything is perfect now. So you're always conscious as if you're not doing something right. It's so nitpicky. And once she saw some dust somewhere, okay, apparently on some LCD or TV, and she washed that with water. And what would happen when you wash something electronic with water. But that was an extreme case. But if you're bordering on that, we need to think about it. It's your own call. If it becomes a worry for you or anxiety for you, maybe you're getting into that state, but hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, you try to dovetail it towards God, that okay, I need to keep it cleaning it, and it increases the energy channels in your home as well. When you don't have less clutter, the energy flow in the house is also good. And cleanliness is anyway next to godliness. So it is a good quality to have. But is it bordering on a compulsive disorder kind of a thing where it takes your mind space and you're not able to do devotion? That is a call you only have to take.
Thank you.
I hope that answers, yeah. There is other spectrum as well, right? Where you enjoy keeping things messy. Okay. All right, let's take a couple of questions and we can.
Yeah. So, Pooja ji says, when you have a better bank balance, you have less things to worry about from responsibility standpoint, leading to a focused mind in spirituality, isn't it?
True, that is fine. But again, you have to challenge your mind to say, is it playing a trick with you? Only if I have this much, then I'll be able to peace of mind. Only if I have this much. So that is also a trap you can fall into, right? Swabal ashray, swadhan ashray, all these ashrays have to be left behind eventually. How much is enough is the big question. I'll tell you my own story. When I came to the US for the first time, with a couple of other bachelors, we were discussing, philosophizing how much money is needed for somebody to have peace of mind. So we started with, those were the days, early days. Okay, you laugh at it. It's at about 20, 30, 20 lakhs should be good enough, in bank balance. We are straight out of college and all. 20 lakhs would be good enough. Then somebody said, no, 20 lakhs plus house and a car. They said, finally, we settled down for, 50 lakhs, house and a car and a stable job and a retirement fund. We said, fine. If you ask today, probably all of us would have surpassed that goal. But have we stopped? No. So the point is, mind is good at creating a scenario for you, but if you are clear on it, stick to that goal and then devote your time starting, because your mind will always say, it's not enough, you need more, it's not enough, you need more, you need to do this. Now this requirement has come up, now you have to settle somebody down, now have to take care of this. That trap will continue forever. We'll only have to take.
Yeah, Abhaji to this says absolute happiness versus relative happiness. And
Yes.
Prabhat Priya had said, if we want to serve God or want to give a best place, then purified soul is a perfect place for him. Why do we want big house and even worldly food to make him eat, as he only eats our ego?
True, very true. I think the key is to keep on tapping into our higher nature and purifying ourselves. Then we are serving the purpose of our birth. And serving the purpose of this universe as well. That is the key objective. Rest all are self-created agendas. The key agenda is to work on our inner growth.
Michelle
A good
ji says,
discussion. Should we continue? Maybe a couple of questions, or we want to continue tomorrow?
okay, I think we can continue tomorrow. I'll just take the hands maybe, and then others who have
The
put them.
hands, maybe a question each. Then we have some announcements too, right, to make.
Yeah, actually. Oh, thanks. Ricardo. Yes. Okay. So Manish ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Manish ji.
Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji, Sandhya ji, everyone. So Nitin ji, you partially answered this, but I'm curious as to the, for my kids, I'm a caretaker because they're not mine. So the caretaker, where does the caretaker responsibility end? There's paying for their education. So you're earning more to pay for their education. How does that affect
I don't know. I mean,
in this
there's no hard and fast rule around it. If your kid is very independent and stuff like that, typically what I've seen is, up to a certain stage, of course, you have to give them a good education, right? But typically, parents in US, they go up to undergrad, they pay for that, right? Now, after that, if you want to take it further, it's your choice. But kids typically, they are able to sponsor themselves for higher education or take part of it as a loan, right? All those things. But as a parent, if you are overly concerned about it and you can't do that, I don't know whether it is really required or not. So we can create worries for ourselves even after that, right? We have to get them married, and then we have to give them a house, and then we have to buy them the first car. So where do you want to draw a line? It's entirely your call. Ideally, I would say, I mean, if you are doing it until undergrad, that is good enough. But if they are so sufficient, they can even do that on their own, so be it.
Yeah, mine is co-signing. So co-signing for them and helping them as a backup.
Yeah, I think one of the caretaker's responsibility is to give them a firm footing, right, to earn a livelihood as well. And that includes education and giving them, sponsoring them at least until a particular stage. So beyond undergrad, I think it's probably not needed. They are at a stage where they can do it themselves.
Right, because they should be able to stand on their own feet. And
it brings in a sense of responsibility as well, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
hard and fast rule, yeah, around it. Yes, Diva, you had another question.
Yes, Diva.
Radhe Radhe. I just had a confusion. What sort of an attachment is okay? To what extent? Is attachment to family wrong?
You're asking very good questions today, yeah. So basically, attachment is actually brings in fear and weakness. So it is in Bhagavad Gita, if you understand, it's called detached attachment. Okay, you are not running away from your responsibility, but at the same time, you do understand. You don't make them as your weakness. Okay, with Bhagavad Gita, what you understand here is everybody is on their own journey. We are all individual souls. In this particular lifetime, we have been put together. So there's a sense of responsibility, there's a sense of love, there's a sense of duty that you have towards them. But if your security, your happiness, and sense of security and everything is tied to them, then you are weakening yourself. That is a vulnerability you are creating for yourself. So that is something you have to look at. Then that can only be neutralized through proper knowledge. See, we don't control anybody's life. Everybody's on their own journey. And it is an association which is not going to last forever. Right? This is a particular life, and in every lifetime we are endowed with different souls. So that knowledge has to be deepened. Otherwise, our attachments, they make us weak. And those are the reasons why we keep on repeating in this world as well. Do you remember who were you attached to in your previous lifetime when you came in as a human? You don't know that, right? So that is how it happens. The roles change, but the feelings remain. Because we have thought so much about this, these worldly associations are permanent. These people are mine. So those people will change, but those feelings will remain for different people in different lifetimes. So it is binding actually. When you start thinking beyond that, then you will be able to discharge your responsibility and be able to love them even with more freedom, as opposed to loving them with a sense of attachment, which is making you weak and probably anxious as well.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask also, is it possible that I know it's possible, but what is the likeliness of the souls of the family members being the same over
It's a story, right? Oh my God, we are going to repeat with them again and all that stuff. I don't know. There's no algorithm for that, but yes, our karmic cycle, debts, and all that stuff could work in that way. But actually, if I go by the scriptures, it is say that when two waves come, right? Two waves come in a ocean, and then they go back, never to meet again, or they go their own way. So there could be a possibility, but every lifetime you would have thought about this question, right? We don't know. If God chooses to, if we have some karmic balance with each other, we may, or if we don't have, we may not. And we could repeat in the same family, and it could be different family depending upon the kind of lessons we need in a particular life. So we have to think it deeply around that. There's no formula as such that will be, But if you really are attached to somebody, maybe God can put you in a situation where until you learn that lesson, that repetition continues. But it is very
the lesson to not be attached?
Lesson to basically until you overcome your attachment, right? Attachment is binding. I know I'll tell you a completely different example around it. There was a guy who would sit on his shop, and there would be a dog which would come to that shop, and he would whack him every day. So Naradji came and he laughed, and he was asked, by saying, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "You know what? He's whacking his own father." He was so attached to his shop that even after that, he's still getting pulled towards his shop. So these relationships can be very complex. They may not even come in the same species. So it's very pretty complex. So the good news is that we are not going anywhere. We are perfectly safe. We are just transforming from one gross body to another. But at the same time, these attachments will weaken you and they will bind you to this world. You have to transcend that. That is the key thing. It's an uncomfortable concept, but that is how it's meant to be.
It's very deep and, of course, uncomfortable.
It is
to
uncomfortable.
even think about.
Yes, I know that, but that's if you want to empower yourself, if you want to make yourself strong, and if you want to really do it with a sense of purpose, you'll have to arm yourself with this knowledge, deepen that understanding. You have thought about this for different people in different lifetimes, not for the same people. But that feeling will persist because now you have thought that whoever is around me is near and dear one to me and is my permanent associate. And that feeling will keep on repeating in your mind and will keep you bound to this world itself. Our true Sambandhi is only God, and if you get a guru, they accompany you from lifetime to lifetime. Nobody else can. They don't have the ability. It's like a train journey we are on. Everybody's with that exit ticket. When their station would come, they have to depart. You cannot accompany them. At the same time, they cannot accompany you. And we don't know who's traveling with us and what station they would have to part with us. It is an uncomfortable thought, but spirituality is all about, not burying your head in sand, but confronting the real secrets of life, basically.
The train is a nice analogy.
Train, yeah. You can always remember, we are on a train journey. Okay. All the
Thank you.
relationships that we forge in a train journey, however close we become, right? Finally, when our station comes, we have to leave. TT will not spare you otherwise. And TT, Jamraj in this case, you have to go now. And you say, you are my best friend. Can you stay back and come to me to Kolkata? They say, no, I had to get off. Sorry. Or he says, you are my best friend. Can you come along with me? You'll say, no, I have my own station. This is how the life journey is meant to be.
Amazing. Comment from Pallavi ji. Great questions by Diva, and even greater are the answers by Nitin ji. And these answers again raised many other questions for people about, how can you love without attachment? How can we discharge our duties without attachment? So I think we should have a session dedicated to
Continue
these.
on these topics. Put it in the
Right.
feedback. Tomorrow we will do that. Nanik bhai, let's take one last question before we take our.
Radhe Radhe Nanik ji.
Yes. Well, for the children, they say they come from you and they are not for you. This is all the philosophers say that.
True.
That you take care of them, but you know that they are not for you.
Right.
About there is no free lunches. That is true in most cases, but it's not true. Like Jeka Yoga classes, we come here, we don't pay anything, and all these things are free. There are a lot of free things. Even water burger, they say senior citizen can have free coffee, but then you go, you buy something else. So there are a lot of catches, but a lot of lessons I've seen. Like a lot of spiritual people come here and in the newspaper they give lecture, they are free. So there are a lot of free things which are really.
You are paying a price, Nanik bhai. Let me tell you what price you are paying. So Buddha was asked once that, what have you gained by meditation? He said, I've not gained anything, but I've lost a lot. He said, what have you lost? He said, I've lost my anger, my greed, my envy. So you're paying the price of all the negative things. Okay. Those are going away in
Right.
form of price. Yeah.
But for the spiritual things, I think you get it free. That's what we.
True. That is true. And that is only, the kindness, generosity of Maharaj Ji and Swami Ji has given us this platform. So we do most use of it as best as we can for as long as we can.
Okay, so there are again more questions. So please put them in the feedback tracker. I cannot take them right now. Just we'll read one comment suggested by Shalini ji. We can also ask these questions on the Ask Swamiji chatbot in the new app and see what we get as answers from the app.
Let's ask that and let's see the answers that we get, and we can have a good discussion on that too. But yeah, good discussion today. I think we are talking about practical scenarios. Sometimes, see, when we get deep into philosophy, we take some of these questions and answers to these questions for granted that, okay, we have spoken. But it's good. Diva, you're asking, those questions, fundamental questions again today. And I think we should have a good discussion around these from time to time. Very, very practical, and some of the stuff that troubles us anyways, right, in our minds. But thank you for asking all these questions. Good discussion.
Messaging coming in. Thank you for this great discussion. So yeah, definitely it has helped many people. Can I now move on to announcements?
Yes, please. Let's move to announcements and then we can wrap up our session.
First and foremost is our Seva scoreboard.
Okay,
Sunday
by the
night.
way, after your announcement, we have only one entry today, and that is Vinodji is going to sing today. So everybody stay tight. We have a fantastic singing and presentation coming from Vinodji. Yes, go ahead, Sandhya. Sorry.
Awesome. Okay, so if you want to guess which team is leading, Nitinji, you can guess. I will then show.
Navaratri, an enthusiastic team. Huh?
Chalo dekhte hain. It is selfless team.
Oh my God. Shyamji's team, huh?
But you know, there's very tight competition between selfless and enthusiastic.
Good going, Shyamji. Very nice.
Shyamji, Manishji, Jyoti, these three people look like are pretty active from selfless.
Diva, you can help your dad's team, okay? Maybe you want to join and do something there as well.
That's a good idea.
As best as you can, of course.
Okay. Then enthusiastic, then Vinamr. I don't see Ananya here. You're again missing, so you guys need to fill it out. And yeah, more details here, but due to limitation of time, I won't get into it. But cheers to all of you who have
all
been
the Seva
feeding
teams,
us.
and more specifically for our selfless team for giving us a chart buster performance this week. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, and actually there was one quick Diwali video that I wanted to show. Can I show that, Nitinji?
Sure.
Okay. This is a complete in-house production from Radhakrishna Temple, and I'm sure you're going to love it. So let's watch it.
राम आएंगे तो अंगना सजाऊंगी, दीप जला के दिवाली मैं मनाऊंगी, मेरे जन्मों के सारे पाप मिट जाएंगे, राम आएंगे, मेरी झोपड़ी के भाग आज खुल जाएंगे, राम आएंगे। राम आएंगे आएंगे राम आएंगे, राम आएंगे आएंगे राम आएंगे, मेरी झोपड़ी के भाग आज खुल जाएंगे, राम आएंगे, मेरी झोपड़ी के भाग आज खुल जाएंगे, राम आएंगे।
Join us to celebrate the arrival of Lord Ram on November 4th at the biggest ever Diwali Mela at the Cotton Bowl Stadium. See you all there.
Ravan Dahan, firework, cultural performances, Kids Carnival, Laser Show, November 4th at the Cotton Bowl Stadium. For tickets, visit radhakrishnatemple.net.
All right.
Very
So
nice.
you all like the video. I'm going to share the link as well in the chat. So please help spread this word around about the Diwali Mela. The devotees have literally put in a lot of effort to create this. So please help spread the word and encourage them. All right. So, and last but not the least, announcement is about our Kahoot. So this week, our Kahoot quiz is going to be generic quiz on Tattvagyan that we have been learning so far. Basic one, simple one, should be easily comprehensible by everybody. So your chances to get all the questions right. And we are also sharing some reading material for that. So I am sharing, Rahulji will share a link that's basically JK Yog philosophy section on the JK Yog website that tells you about the basics, fundamentals of what we are learning. So check that out and start preparing from now on onwards for the quiz on this Thursday. All right, so that's all about the announcement. Excited for Mr. Meenu Kapoor ji's performance. So over to you, Vinod ji.
I'm going to say a few lines and I think everybody can join in, okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you okay.
All right.
We can hear you okay, Mr. MK.
तूने मुझे बुलाया शिवा लिए मैं आया शेरा वालिए तूने मुझे बुलाया शेरा वालिए मैं आया शेरा वालिए वालिए ओ मेरा वालिए तूने मुझे बुलाया शेरा वालिए मैं आया शेरा वालिए ओ तूने मुझे बुलाया शेरा वालिए मैं आया शेरा वालिए जय माता दी
Jai Mata Di. Vinodji, that was an outstanding performance. You know, the only thing that was missing, you know, what was that? Let me spotlight you. Only that patka was missing.
Agreed. Jai Mata Di.
I have this, so I, wasn't sure how to do it.
Very nice. Very nice. You reminded me of my, earlier days when we used to go to Vaishno Devi and listen to all these bhajans along the way, right? Beautiful, very nice. Thank you very much.
So if you'll give me a few minutes to tie in a few incidents with this, please.
Sure. Please, go ahead.
My mom, when she was expecting me, and my dad's best friend, his wife was also expecting, so they asked for something. And when that was accomplished, we all went to Vaishno Devi. So I still remember I was very young that time, but
You were
I remember
in mother's womb or you were outside already?
I was outside now.
Okay.
So after that was accomplished, then they all went to Vaishno Devi. And I remember, I think I was a year or two old, I'm not sure. But I remember very distinctly being in a basket behind a pittu, as they call it, a guy who would carry you all the way up.
You remember that?
You remember that. So, and I very distinctly remember that portion, and also that the environment was very beautiful, as you know, Mata's Darbar, that's very beautiful. So, Mom was saying that it was to have darshan, you had to crawl into the cave, And the saying was that no matter how fat you were, you could get through that. And there was water that came out, and that's how she described it. Now, of course, things have changed a little bit. So let's go back, I think, almost 60 years. I'm probably dating myself. None of you were probably born then. But anyways, my sisters, my nephews, Mundan ceremony took place at Vaishno Devi. So we were 15 of us, I think, in the family. And I still remember my niece was, I think, 6 months old. And I carried her all the way up in like a hammock, a clothing, carrying her like this all the way up to the darbar. And I was quite agile in those days. And they said that Vinod is sure-footed like a mountain goat. So anyways, as you know, when you go up to the Darbar from Katra, we landed up there in the evening or night time. And as you know, in India, when you go to these pilgrimage places, you are shoulder to shoulder. We couldn't move around. There was no water or food, but we had blankets. And of course, there was no washroom in those days. I don't know, things have changed now. So when the morning came, I remember taking a dip in one of the coldest waters that, that I've ever experienced. But we had the darshan. So that was beautiful. The irony of this thing was my sister, whose son's Mundan ceremony we were performing, she did not have the darshan. She was not well, she was asthmatic. But later on, of course, she went and had Mata's darshan. So I'm connected, you know. There's Mata Rani's, if you see the red calendar, I'm connected to Mata Rani. So, Jai Ho Mata Rani. There's one more incident that I would like to relay is Obama and myself, we have something in common. No, I'm not the president. I don't know my previous lifetime or so. Can anybody guess? What is the common thing with me and Obama?
What is the common thing between you and Obama?
You have brought it out. Okay.
This is a statue of Hanumanji.
Oh.
And it is with me at all times for the last 50 years. So if you see me sometime and say, Jai Shri Hanuman, then you will see this. My Pitaji, my dad, was Hanuman Bhakt, and he and mom would fast every Tuesday. And we, the siblings, would be very eagerly awaiting for the dinner time because all the goodies that we would get afterwards. So I'm also a Hanuman Bhakt. So Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Hanuman. Mata ki Jai Ho.
Jai.
Thank you, Vinod ji, for sharing your, life, early childhood memories of Vaishno Devi, and also what you share with Mr. Obama. I'm sure Mr. Obama would be extremely pleased to share this with you, right? Thank you
Honored.
for honored, yeah.
You must be honored.
Very sweet of you, and thank you so much. That was a very beautiful bhajan that you narrated. In fact, it reminds me of my story as well. I was fairly young. I don't know how old I might be 3 or 4, but I have very vivid memory. And because there was a reason for that. There's a place called Garbjun where people go.
The Choti Gufa.
Yeah, Choti Gufa. And I was told by my mom, who's there in the session, I guess. Oh yeah, she's there. That you know what? If you have done any sins, you will get stuck. And I was extremely anxious that today is going to be my last day because I'll get stuck. And my sin was I had lied a lot of things, okay? When I was sure I remembered everything and I was praying and praying. I literally took it. But then I saw a very big guy in front of me. I said, okay, then my logical brain kicked in that if somebody gets stuck here, then rest of the people will also get stuck. So somebody will have to take him out or any sinner out. So something would be there even if I get stuck. But when I saw that guy is through that whole cave, like Ji said, then I was like relaxed and I did not get stuck. But I remember that because of the fear I had in my head that I'll get stuck because I've lied a few times. But yeah, those memories stick, some of those. But yeah, thank you so much for narrating that. Great. I see Myra here as well. Myra, you wanted to say something? We had a pretty extended session today already, but good session. Thank you. Jai Mata
Jai
Di.
Mata Di, Mayuru.
Thank you very much.
Actually, you guys inspired Surinder ji also. He has also said that his first darshan of Vaishno Devi was in 1958. And like he has described it and he's just ending by saying, wow, Jai Mata Ki.
Good to see you back, Surendraji. I think you're joining after a while.
That's right.
Radhe Radhe, and it's on Mahashtami, so thank you very much. Okay, Swatiji, you wanted to sing or real quick? I know we are already late, so you wanted to sing real quick, a couple of lines?
Radhe Radhe. No, I didn't wanted to sing. I just wanted to tell even my incident, 1 minute also.
Sure.
That Vaishnav Devi, when I was also like, I don't know, remember the year and all. But when we were in school, that time we went with the family. Is it audible?
Yes.
Yes,
confirm?
yes.
Okay, I thought some noise. So when we went there for Vaishnav Devi, we were in Punjab because my father's transfer was there. He was in bank, So Canara Bank, we got transferred in Amritsar. So we went to Vaishnav Devi also there. That time everybody was like, after having the darshan, nobody went in that cave. But I was very curious. I want to go in that and I will come out from that. And then I went inside and then all my sisters were waiting outside at other point that still she has not come. Whether she has got stuck, why she is not coming. They all were waiting for me and I alone went in that cave and I came back from that. It was a great experience. Thank you, Radhe.
Thank you, Swatiji, for sharing that.
Nitinji, you didn't share how many years back your experience was.
How many years back that experience was? That was when I was about 4 years old, which means maybe about 10 to 12 years back. You can calculate it roughly, right? All right. Hope that answers your question.
Yes.
All right. So with that said, thank you everybody for your enthusiastic participation. We'll continue. I think it's a very fascinating topic. So we'll talk about Yog to Bhog to Yog and other questions around it as well. So I'll go through the feedback tracker if you have put in any questions, but I look forward to another engaging session tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll have our devotional segment as well. But thank you, Vinodji. Radhe Radhe and Jai Mata
I
Di.
want to say Maharaj Ji ki Jai, Swami Ji ki Jai ho.
Jai Ho. Thank you.
Jai Ho, Jai Mata Di. And Payal ji has invited everyone to Vaishno Devi. She stays very close to it. So she's saying like everyone come and we'll all go there together.
All right. So we will have our supper at your place and then march forward and then have breakfast on the way back as well. So thank you, Payalji, for the invitation. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Amazing session. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Radhe Radhe. Good night and have a good day.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you.